All right, guys, let's go ahead and start the June sales meeting. Got a big lineup today with top to bottom and MRIS here. And then, the elephant in the room. You guys haven't seen our charts yet. So looking at the sales meeting, last month we were trailing just barely behind 2013. A lot of people were concerned. Looking at the marketplace, we had a really weird beginning to the year. And then May happened. It seemed like May corrected everything as far as total numbers go. So we saw our number of closed transactions pop over 100 for the first time this year. And also with our volume. Saw our sales volume bump up over 50,000 for 1 month. So that basically, if you look at our year-to-date numbers, right now we're about 8 million above where we were this time last year. Yay! And we're about 25 transactions ahead of where we were again this time last year. And what I've talked to a lot of people about, and I sound like a broken record. If you've already heard me once, you can go take a bathroom break right now. This marketplace in 2014, we find that the buyers are financing a little more than they were last year. I think what we saw last year was a lot more cash, which led me to believe that those folks in 2013 were people who'd sat on the sidelines, had a lot of cash, and jumped in the market when they started seeing it go up. They wanted to catch it before it started cresting. But what we're seeing this year is these are buyers who are coming in with higher loan-to-values. So when there are inspection items, when there are financing issues, it makes a big difference to them because they don't have an extra 150 in the bank that they can say, well, yeah, we'll figure this out. We're getting it at a great price, or the next one's coming on a lot hotter. The market's a little weird right now, so sometimes buyers are under contract and they see something pop up down the street, and they're like, this is a 9.5. That's like a 9.6. Maybe I'll cancel the contract and go for that. So we're seeing a lot of fallout in this marketplace. So I'm just kind of prepping everyone. And there's some reasons are very legitimate. With the insurance stuff coming up this year, we've had several deals with insurance that have gone sideways. Property insurance with flood insurance, and then also the most recent one has been the water incidences we've had, flooding in basements. We've had a lot of people. I think that last rainstorm, one of the big rainstorms happened literally like the last week of May. So that's when you're doing your pre-settlement walkthroughs. People walk through and say, oh no, especially on vacant homes where the sellers didn't realize the house had gotten water in the basement. So those are just things to keep aware of. And these are things we talk about, like for instance, these property condition stuff. We talk a lot about this at our contract and clauses classes. So I've had some people come to me in the last couple of weeks and say, I had this problem. I'm like, wow, that's great. We just talked about that 2 weeks ago. So come to these events that we do, the training classes. I'm sure you'll get something out of it, maybe just a little bit to cover yourself. But again, great work this month, and we're looking forward to. Again, I think what we're going to see is we saw last year as a big drop off at the end of the year. A lot of that was based on the government shutdown. I think we're going to see a more planing out and a better second half of last year than we saw. We're going to have a better second half of this year than we saw last year. So keep out there prospecting and keep up the good work. So congratulations, guys. Good work.
Yeah.
All right. Again, Bob Haslinger's not here. He had a settlement crisis he had to take care of. But in his meeting notes, he talked a little bit about deposits. Again, when we have fall-through cases, guess what we have? We have deposit problems. So we've been dealing with a lot of deposit issues lately. Even buyers getting out for legitimate reasons, and then sellers dragging their feet on deposits. If you're having a deposit issue, please come talk to me. There's some strategies you can do to try to, if you're working on the buyer side, retain your buyer's deposit. And you do have some leverage points, but they're few and far between. So come talk to me if you're having a deposit issue, or Bob as well. All right. We have a very full welcome wagon this month. Allie Eisenhower. She's with the Fox 5 team. Tracy Onslow. Where's Tracy? Hi, Tracy. Tracy's here with Craig Brown. She's working on Craig Brown's team. We announced Sherry last month, and but Sherry's here live and in person. You know Sherry. And then two folks on the Spiker team, Tracy Norman and Nicole Giapong. They're here. Yep. So welcome to all these people. Oh yeah, and Kristen, were you here last month?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, welcome Kristen Menifee. She's on Jenny's team as well. All right, last week we had a very big announcement. Betty won the Olney Business Person of the Year award. She was the 4th RE/MAX Realty Center agent to win it. So I guess you give it to the owner. 4th.
Man, I got business. Let me tell you, I got business. I got more business than I can do. But anyway, but it was a very great honor, and I thank all of you for that, because it's all about the people. And it was very nice. It was lovely. They had it at Manor Country Club, and we had a great meal, and it was terrific. Thank you.
Very good. Yeah, Betty was one of the better speakers, which is
Amen.
very good. All right, a couple other things. Many of y'all participated. Dale's been doing this Build Your Own Business, BYOB, training classes. So I think session 4 is this week. It's Wednesdays in Clarksburg, Thursdays here in Olney. It's next Thursday that we're having ELA, so it's going to be next Friday here in Olney. But check the schedule. It's in here. He laid out all the courses. He would have loved to have been here, but he likes his civic duties on jury duty. So he's number 113 out of 115. So he's the lucky guy today to exercise his civic duties. So come on out to the BYOB. Has anyone been to this? Anyone in the room here? What do you guys think of it? Very cool. And again, what this is this is kind of hands-on, how to actually do the business, not just theory and pump yourself up, feel good, and then leave the room and go, what the hell am I supposed to do today? So a lot of this is very hands-on. How do you do it and what you do? So, okay. A couple other things coming up. Sky slope training. Anyone wants to do sky slope training, I'll sit down and do a one-on-one with you. But there's also on Fridays they have a sky slope party at 3 o'clock, so you can grab a cocktail, sit on your deck, and listen in on a webinar every Friday. It's a lot of fun. A couple other things coming up. Let me see here. Oh, the Olney maps are out. Is Ellen Coleman here? So Ellen Coleman, when she was chamber president, she helped develop this Olney Chamber of Commerce map. We have an ad in it. We have the back page. So when you get the map and you turn it over, it's our RE/MAX Realty Center ads right there. They are great items to give out to your relocating people, some of your people who are new to Olney. So we have some of those maps that we can give out. If you need to buy a bunch, the chamber also has them for sale for a very reasonable price. I think they're like $1 a piece. All right, and then another thing we're kind of bringing back is our Sales Associate Council. For ownership, staff, and management, we're always looking at things to improve the company, and some of our best ideas come from you guys. So we always want to kind of pass, float some balloons, figure some things out. Sometimes we're making decisions on projects and support things we're looking at adding, but sometimes we might be adding the wrong stuff. So we want to get your input. So Dale's going to be running a meeting on Thursday, June 19th. If you're interested in helping us out, please contact him directly. That'd be great. Again, we'd love your input because we like to actually use your input to do good things. All right. As you know, every month we do a Staff Choice Award, and this one was a very easy one. Our staff came out with this very quickly. So a lot of times what happens is the staff, they run into you guys all the time. You guys, even though you may not interact with us all the time, they see what you guys do, and they're watching, so to speak. This award goes to Paula and Teresa. They've noticed that they've been attending a lot of the training classes, doing some coaching, trying to get their business ramped up and as perfect as they want to get it. So congratulations, guys, on Staff Choice Award. All right. Okay. All right. Is Karen here? Over. Okay. All right. Last but not least, a couple of quick things. We have a Cafe Rio night coming up on June 18th. For those of you who love Cafe Rio, we have 50% off coupons for Cafe Rio. All right. Without further ado, I'm going to turn the meeting over top to bottoms here. They want to tell you a little bit about what they do. We've had them come out recently. I find they educate very well, and I like companies that actually bring some good education to the table. Greg wanted to tell you a little bit about one of the great services they do, and something that we use a lot, and sometimes we don't use a lot, and comes up. So,
Okay, if I plug in here?
Yeah, definitely.
Morning, folks. My name is Greg Butler. I'm the Business Development Manager. Before, I have a walkout basement, so most of the basement is above ground. I have an old home. Most people know that radon is common in new construction because the ground's been recently disturbed, but that's not always the case. Radon can seep out even through the bedrock and the foundation of older homes. There's a myth that if you don't smell any, or your skin isn't itchy, I don't know where these things come from, you don't have radon. And my neighbor had a low test, so I'm fine. And my agent said that this is a low area for radon. A scary fact, and I actually didn't know this until I started doing this presentation, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking. It's easy and inexpensive to detect, and radon levels can be reduced by installing a removal system, usually taking less than 1 day. My sister actually just closed on a house. We did the radon test for her. The recommended level is 4 picocuries. She was at 16. We recommended a remediation company, and everything was fine. She closed successfully. Technically, there is no safe level of radon. I said the recommended level is 4 or below. I mean, 0 is great, but it's not very common. So the types of radon testing, you have charcoal canister, which requires lab analysis. It captures the radon gas over a 48-hour period. That is what we do at top to bottom. There's ion analysis, short-term testing using ion chambers. It measures the decaying radon. And then diffuse junction photodiode, a little more complicated than anybody would need. You're doing long-term testing for radon levels. Charcoal canisters are the most common, and in the vast majority of cases, that's what you want to go with. So how does radon enter a house? Like I mentioned, it comes from the decomposition of minerals in the bedrock. So it starts in fractured bedrock. It can come up through groundwater. It can come up through cracks in the foundation, fittings that are entering the house. Now, this is a map that shows the areas where radon is more prevalent, and you can see northern Montgomery County, Washington County. Red is bad, so that's where radon levels are typically higher. Do radon levels change? Absolutely. They can change by the minute. The 48-hour testing that we do does mitigate some of those changes. Radon is an environmental component and changes with the environment, so levels can be affected by cool weather, humidity, rain, fog, and snow. It's important when we do a radon test that the house is as closed as possible. Open windows and doors can decrease levels. Ceiling fans going can cause the radon to flake out. So you want to have as closed and stagnant an environment as possible to do the radon test. Window-mounted air conditioning and heating, which exchanges outside air, can also reduce those levels. Now, typically, houses with dugout foundations are going to be more likely to have radon, but you can have it with slab on grade. Okay, we had a house in the Kentlands last year, slab on grade with elevated radon that needed remediation. In Bethesda, very large home, 16,000 square feet. It's important for the larger homes to make sure that you have multiple canisters placed in the property. It's approximately 1 canister per 4,000 square feet. So in the 16,000 square foot home, we had 4 test points. 2 were low, the other 2 were high, and resulted in remediation systems being put into place. If anybody goes into Pennsylvania, the state law there is that all inspections must include radon. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Knowing what I know now, I'm probably going to get a radon test anytime I purchase a house. Okay. Top to bottom is certified for radon and primary indoor environmental tests. So that's radon screening, mold, indoor air quality, chemical pollutants, VOCs, and if radon is found, we will recommend, or you can use your own remediation company, and then we can come back and do the post-remediation testing, verify everything's okay. That's it for the presentation. I hope I haven't scared you too much, but can I answer any questions?
I can add something for you that everybody should know.
Sure, please.
You guys are one of the few companies that can read your radon results on the spot. So if you're cutting it close to settlement, which you guys did save us very, very well one day.
Thank you.
Because we didn't have to send the test back out to get the radon companies. Sometimes are very busy in
Sure.
their remediation. So if you're cutting it down to the wire, being able to read the results on the spot is huge.
Yeah, just to clarify, when you say on closing contingencies to check those levels. So we're definitely as flexible as we can on that, so thank you for that.
Sure.
Any other questions?
I don't know.
Sure.
Once you have I have a remediation system installed in my basement. It was 4.6.
Mhm.
So we've got to take our mind to it. Is there something we should pay attention to make sure it's still working?
Honestly, if you had elevated levels, I would probably do a test once a year.
Yeah. Okay.
To be honest with you. I mean,
I'm
it's-
about 9 behind.
okay. Give us a call.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Enjoy the breakfast if you haven't already. There's business cards up here, and please feel free to chat with me afterwards. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
And another thing is sometimes what happens with the radon inspections is if the buyer didn't ask for one in the contract, and then they get to the home inspection, and it sounds like a great idea to do it at the home inspection. So just be very careful, because that does happen from time to time. There are a couple ways of dealing with it contractually. Sometimes, we'll just put the canisters in and hope the seller doesn't put them on the front porch, which sometimes happens. I'd recommend giving the listing agent a call. If it is an issue, you can always try to build it into your home inspection contingency as you're removing the home inspection. Ask that you're given, and I'd explain that to the listing agent. I'd call them directly from the inspection. Just say, hey, look, my buyer now wants a radon. I know we haven't written into the contract. We're probably, we'd like permission to do it. They say absolutely not. Then say we're probably going to put it into the contingency period for the home inspection then. If that's what your buyers want to do. But don't just assume, don't put radon canisters in properties. You're going to get an earful from the listing agent. And I know it sometimes comes up, so just want to throw that out there.
So, and on that note, if there's no radon ordered with the inspection, inspectors should not be trying to sell their services.
Yeah.
True.
Well,
Just
yes.
saying.
That's what you do.
I agree.
Exactly.
Just saying.
It happens. All right.
Well, you just have to listen.
So right now, I know you guys are here to listen to me speak, but I'm going to give up my time for Neil Feinberg with MRIS.
That's all right, Judge.
Yeah. MRIS is this little company that I think I've used once or twice for a couple things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's funnier than you too, Joe.
Seriously.
All right, well, let's find out.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody.
Hi, Neil.
So a loan officer passes away, finds himself at the pearly gate standing in front of St. Pete. St. Pete says, you've been a loan officer, so I'm having a really hard time figuring out which way you should go. So I'm going to give you a choice. If you want, you can go down and maintain your playboy partying lifestyle that all your loan officers are accustomed to. Or if you'd rather, you could stay up here and have an existence of prayer and contemplation and peace. The loan officer says, gee, St. Pete, that's a tough one. Would you mind very much if I just thought about it overnight and came back tomorrow? St. Pete says, yeah, if that's what you want to do, go right ahead. So next day, he comes back in front of the pearly gates, and there's St. Pete. St. Pete says, have you made a decision? He said, yeah. He said, I really appreciate the offer, but I decided that I want to maintain my same party and playboy lifestyle I'm accustomed to. I'm going to go down. St. Pete says, fine, that's your choice. He opens up the door, and he looks down, and there's nothing but hell and torture and fire and misery and everything you'd expect out of hell. And the loan officer backs up. He says, wait a second, St. Pete, you told me that if I chose to go down, I'd have my same party and playboy lifestyle I've always had. He says, what's the deal? St. Pete looks at him and smiles and says, should have locked it in yesterday. Not bad, huh? Come on. All right. Anyway, we got lots of new stuff coming at MRIS here, so let's get going. First of all, has anybody seen the marketing center yet? Hear the crickets, okay? This has only been out for about 5 years. No, not really that long. Not really that long. This is a new thing we've had out a couple months now. This is just a nice, easy way to create flyers, postcards, virtual tours, drip campaigns. Most of it is included in your subscription. The part that is not are the email drip campaigns, okay? They charge you 3 cents for every email that they send out on your behalf, or if you send out flyers to your contacts. So the rest of it is part of your subscription. What's really nice about this is for most of the templates, it automatically imports all the information from your listing, so it's very easy to create a flyer. To get to it, if you're in the home page of Keystone and you want to create a flyer for a particular listing, you just go to that listing, click here right on marketing, and that'll take you right into it. If you happen to be in the body of Keystone, it's under promotions, it's right there. If you want to create a flyer for a listing that you don't have, if you want to create a flyer for another listing within your own office, you can do that also. But to get to it, you have to go into MRIS.com, log yourself in, and then go to the quick links box and click on marketing. That'll let you in. You can manually create a flyer if you like. This is what the front page of the dashboard looks like. These are the projects you've completed. These are the projects that you have available. The first time you come in, there's something you need to do. You want to go up to where your name is. There are 2 pages. This is the business info page, and we import all this information from our roster file that we have for you. And here you can add your company logo. And then there's a second page, which is the profile page that has all your personal information, so you want to make sure that's okay. And on that page, you have the opportunity to load a headshot. So once you take care of these pages one time, unless your information changes, you never have to touch that again. So we'll go here to our projects. We're going to pick on flyer. With your subscription, you get 7 flyer choices, 10 postcard choices, 4 brochure choices. There are upgrades if you want to pay extra for it. You can go up here to premium enhancements. There's 2 levels. What they do is, number 1, it gives you more templates. Number 2, it gives you more contacts. You have a contact system here. I think it starts out with like 1,000 contacts if you want to add, and you can import all your contacts straight out of Matrix right into here, so you have them all there. So if you need more contacts, you can get that. Also, the enhancements reduces that per email charge. The first one reduces it to 2 cents, and the second one reduces it to 1 cent. So those are the enhancements if you want. You'll see you've got 7 brochures. There are 3 flyers, 3 2-pagers, and 4 1-page flyers. So you just click on the flyer you want, and we have a little wizard here, so you're just going to follow along. It tells you exactly what to do. First thing you're going to do is give your project a name. The description you don't really need. It's going to ask you to create a folder, so if you create different pieces of collateral for the same property, you have them all nice and organized. They're in the same place. This down here is simply telling you what the MLS listing is that you're pulling it from. And down here, you have the checkbox. That puts the equal housing logo on all your collateral. And you'll see here you have the layout view, and it actually shows you the layout of the photos. So you hit that page. Now the system's going to bring in the first 4 photos, or however many there are for that particular template. If you want to switch the photos out, you can if you use Dropbox, or if you just have them sitting in your computer, you can access them, flip them in or out. There are a couple of alerts here that we'll give you. The first one may say that your image needs to be cropped. It's not a good size. So you can actually click into the photo. There's a cropping tool. And the second alert is that we don't think that you have a high enough resolution on the photo. And you'll hear about this again later. That's one thing we're really pushing is high-res photos. You know, they're now available on the system. So please, if you're not now, instead of telling you the numbers you need, 20 by 78 and all that kind of stuff, just take the pictures as big as you can. And our system will step them down, especially if you're, for a lot of the sites that we syndicate to and the MRIS slideshow, the high-res photos really make a big impact. So you got your photos there, you can crop or not. Then you get right to the text page, and all this information has automatically been pulled in from the listing, so you don't even have to do anything there. There is up here a headline, so you can think of the most clever thing you can to draw people's attention to your flyer. If you can't think of anything clever, you can click on this little checkbox right here, and that has a list of every trite, mundane, overused real estate phrase you've ever seen. But if you can't think of one yourself, just click on that and go on. And that's it. You've got your flyer prepared. You click on here where it says preview, it shows you the flyer. So after you do this twice, it's going to take you like 5 minutes to create a flyer. But what the power of this program is, Once you have that flyer done, right from here, put it on the web, send it to your contacts, and don't do that, okay? Because they charge you 3 cents. So what you want to do is, you can see you can print it yourself, save it as a PDF, and then go to your own email and send it out. There's no need to pay for that. If you use the drip campaign, that you're going to have to pay for. Create your PDF, and then if you use social media, you can just send it right out to all your social media, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, slap it on Pinterest. So I think that's really, once you have a flyer, what are you going to do with it? Here it gets it out to all the outlets you use immediately. Yes? Was there a question? You can print it yourself. There are also some couple links there to professional printers if you want to send them out to them. Has anybody tried this yet? You all going to try it? Please just nod your heads. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Nod your head.
All right, good. All right, next. Keystone. We are doing a whole lot with Keystone, and we have a lot more coming. I'll tell you that. So here's what we've done lately. As I said before, we're really pushing high-res photos. But when we put them out, we realized that if you're loading 30 high-res photos, it's taking a little bit too long. So we went back to our photo loader, and now, depending upon your internet service, your photos should load 30 to 50% faster. Okay, so don't let the high-res part scare you off. You'll also see now we have, just like I showed you in the other one, we have a low-res alert in Media Connect. It will not prevent you from loading that photo into your listing. We don't want to do that. But once again, we want to remind you and keep reminding you to take those pictures as big as you can. We did a little change here. I don't know how you have it set it up here, but we have this link here called My Office Listings. It may be turned on here or it may not be. It depends on how you want to set it up. And that allows you to access other agents' listings within this office, right? And that's so you can help each other out. Somebody's jammed up, can you do me a favor, pop into my listing, make this change for me. So we found in the past that we were hearing that people were having a little trouble, and yes, it's not for blowing somebody's listing up if you're mad at them, okay? It is, because remember, whenever an entry goes into Keystone, we know who made it, okay? And I actually had one, I guess about a couple years ago. Guy got mad, went into a listing. The house became 45 bedrooms and 62 bathrooms, and there was just, it was a mess. But we got him, so don't worry about that. So if you're trying to access other listings, we added this advanced search just to make it easier for you. And it just allows you MLS number, address, agent, anything of that. So if you need to access them, just to make it a little bit easier for you. There are so many definitions within the body of Keystone that I don't care how long you've been in real estate, except for Joe, nobody knows them all, okay? So what we did was we wanted to make sure that if you needed information, that you didn't have to go outside of Keystone to get it. So what we did was we went through everything, and if you go to the main field tab here and you click on it, it's going to give you definitions. So for status, if you click on that, if you're not sure what a status is, you've got it right here. So you don't actually have to go somewhere else to get your definition. Hopefully that's going to make it just a little bit faster if you need some information. Are you guys interested in water properties at all? Okay, no? Well, we added a whole lot to water properties. We've added 15 new mandatory fields if you have a water-oriented property. Because obviously a lot of our territory is water-oriented. So we've added multiple selects on some of these. You used to only be able to select one, name your body of water. We made this a little bit better, distance to body of water. You know, people used to say, can you see the water? Yeah, if you stand on the house, you put up a 20-foot ladder, and it rained last night, you may be able to see the creek in the backyard, right? So this makes it a little bit more accurate. Also, if your customer has a seaplane, you can tell them where they can park it. We kind of got it all covered there. And just your features and improvements, slips and docks, improvement. This is kind of important that we added the conveyance of what happens with the docks and conveying with the property. So we think that's kind of important. One thing we did change a little bit is the definition of mean low water. To the public, yes, mean low water has to do with tides coming in and out, but we kind of tweaked a little bit to make it more real estate friendly. And when we say mean low water, that's simply how much water is there for somebody to put his boat in, how much draft is there, right? The bigger the boat, the more the boat goes under the water. So that's just to tell people if they can park their boat. I think that's what to say, park your boat, right? Dock your boat. Dock your boat. And I grew up on the water. And you have your power. So lots of water stuff there for you. When we're in Annapolis or some other areas, they spend 45 minutes on the water. Last time we made a change to Keystone, we made one change that everybody wasn't too friendly about, and that was the rooms. It originally was you got the whole list of rooms, and you just went and picked the ones you want. Then we went to the last time where you had to pick your room, and then you had to populate it, then you had to go back and pick your next room and populate it. Now what you do is you come in here, you pick all the rooms you want, and it puts it on the list here, and then you just drop down to the list and fill it all out. Okay, it makes it a little bit easier to put in your rooms. Also, you'll see here, you can now order the rooms. And the order that you put the rooms in here is the order the rooms will appear in the listing. Okay, so remember that. The order you put in is how it will appear in the listing. A couple of things that may seem kind of minor, but they do cause some trouble back at the home office, and this has always been a big one. I'm putting in a rental, and I don't know what the transaction type is because it says standard sale. People never realized that that applied to rentals also. So we convened 37 committees, 142 man hours, lots of technology. We had to buy new servers. We went up into the cloud, and we were finally able to remove the word sale. So now it just says standard. So that applies to both. And the other one, this has been my personal bugaboo for 10 years. I always hated internet remarks and general remarks because people couldn't remember what they actually meant, and it caused people to get fined. So once again, we convened another 142 committees, and we added these agent to consumer and agent to agent. Now it just makes it a little bit more clear because we actually did get a lot of phone calls on the help desk. Lots more stuff coming. In the next release, a couple of things we're doing, document management. When you go into Matrix, this is another one of my pet peeves. You know, you bring up a full listing and you go to doc management, and you click on that button to see if there's any documents, and 90% of the time there's nothing back there, right? Well, now, just like with the photos, you'll have a little number. So if there's a document back there, you'll know. It's a one-click saver, but just kind of a convenience thing. So we're doing a lot of things with that. We're now in what we call the data reorg phase. We are going through all the fields and all the choices. So if you guys have any suggestions about things you are thinking that are missing